The inheritance notice arrived on a cracked datapad, delivered by a bored clerk who didn't bother to hide his smirk. Captain Marcus Chen read it twice, his weathered hands trembling slightly. His grandfather, a man he'd never met, had left him something. Outpost Kepler 7, a decommissioned space station orbiting a dead moon in the frontier wastes. Is it worth anything? His daughter Maya asked, peering over his shoulder. At 16, she'd learned to measure everything in terms of survival. They'd been scraping by since Marcus took early retirement from the Terran Defense Force, his body too broken for active duty, but not broken enough for a decent pension. Marcus laughed, a bitter sound. It's a joke, sweetie. These old outposts are money pits. Worthless scrap floating in the void, but worthless scrap was still more than they had. The mockery began immediately. At the spaceport, the docking manager actually laughed when Marcus filed the ownership transfer. Kepler 7? That old coffin? Hope you've got a good salvage team, Chen. That place has been dead for 40 years. Their transport pilot was no better. You know, 3 different corporations tried to strip that station and gave up, right? Haunted, some say. Others say the life support's so corroded it'll kill you in your sleep. Maya squeezed her father's hand. She'd heard the whispers too, seen the way people looked at them, the washed-up soldier and his kid grasping at worthless inheritances. Kepler 7 materialized from the darkness like a steel ghost. The station was massive, far larger than Marcus had expected, its hull scarred by decades of micrometeorite impacts. Ancient solar panels hung at odd angles and entire sections showed signs of catastrophic decompression. Home sweet home, Marcus muttered. They docked at the main airlock, both wearing environment suits despite the pilot's assurance that some sections still held atmosphere. The inner door groaned open, revealing corridors thick with dust and the peculiar smell of recycled air gone stale. Their footsteps echoed. Emergency lighting flickered to life, triggered by their movement, casting long shadows. Maya's suit light swept across walls covered in faded warnings and safety notices from an era when humanity's reach into space was new and desperate. Dad, look at this. Maya stood before a massive blast door, its surface covered in warning symbols. Unlike everything else, this door looked maintained. No dust. No corrosion. Marcus checked his datapad, pulling up the station schematics. This shouldn't be here. According to the records, this section is just storage. The door's access panel blinked to life when he approached. A biometric scanner. Marcus pressed his palm against it, expecting nothing. The system hummed, cross-referencing his DNA against some ancient database. Then, impossibly, the door began to open. Authorization confirmed, a synthesized voice announced. Welcome, Captain Chen. Genetic markers verified. Inheritance protocol initiated. The chamber beyond defied comprehension. It stretched into darkness, vast and cathedral-like. But it wasn't empty. Rows upon rows of cylindrical pods lined the space, each one softly glowing with internal light. Thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. What is this? Maya whispered. Marcus approached the nearest pod. Through the transparent surface, he saw a face, human, peaceful, sleeping. The pod's display showed vital signs: heartbeat, brain activity, metabolic rate. All stable, all alive. His datapad chimed. A file had automatically downloaded, unlocked by his biometric signature. Marcus opened it with shaking hands. Project Exodus, he read aloud. Established 2087. Classification, Ultimate Black. The truth unfolded in clinical military language. 50 years ago, when humanity first encountered the Viridian Empire, the war had gone poorly, catastrophically poorly. Earth's governments, facing extinction, had initiated a desperate contingency. They'd gathered their best, scientists, engineers, soldiers, artists, teachers, children. Thousands of volunteers placed in cryogenic suspension aboard hidden stations like Kepler 7, seeds, insurance policies. If humanity fell, these sleepers would wake and rebuild, but humanity hadn't fallen. They'd adapted, fought back, survived. The crisis passed and Project Exodus became an embarrassment, a reminder of how close they'd come to annihilation. The stations were decommissioned, their locations classified, their very existence buried. Marcus's grandfather had been the project's commander. Before dying, he'd ensured the station passed to family, hoping someone would remember. Would care. There are 14 other stations, Maya said, reading over his shoulder. All decommissioned. All forgotten. Marcus looked at the sleeping faces. Each pod held a story, a life placed on hold for a catastrophe that never came. They'd volunteered to sleep through the potential death of their species, willing to wake to a universe where everyone they knew was dead, where their sacrifice was the only hope. "We have to wake them," Maya said. "The corporations will claim them. The government will want to bury this again." Maya's young face hardened with determination that reminded Marcus of why he'd fought in the first place. "Then we wake them first. We document everything. We tell the story before anyone can classify it again." Marcus nodded slowly. His hands found the pod's manual release. These people gave up everything to save humanity. They deserve to know we made it. They deserve to come home. The first pod began its revival sequence. Warming, oxygenating, bringing someone back from a sleep that had lasted half a century. Behind them, the massive chamber hummed to life system by system, thousands of pods beginning their wake cycles, the forgotten soldiers of humanity's darkest hour, returning to a world that had moved on without them. In the observation room high above, Maya activated the station's communication array. She began broadcasting on all frequencies, civilian and military. The truth would spread before anyone could stop it. Marcus Chen, the washed-up soldier who'd inherited a worthless station, stood among the waking heroes and smiled. Let them mock. Let them laugh. He and his daughter had just reminded humanity what they were capable of when extinction came knocking. They'd just proved that some inheritances were worth more than credits or salvage. Some inheritances were measured in souls.